Hello, welcome to this home updates. It's been about 2 months since we last filmed one of these. I've been doing a lot of stuff around the house, mostly outdoor things. I've been gardening a lot because now that it's summer, the plants and the garden, it's all doing really well. So I've been motivated and inspired to get out there and do a lot of gardening. So I was actually just out there this morning, which is why I'm in my gardening outfit. But yeah, I've been saving a few little things to do around the house, like some stuff in the kitchen, and then in the living room, and in the dining room. And then I'll also just give some home updates about the native garden outside, the balcony garden upstairs, and then we're also going to do a little bit of gardening in this new area that I have that I've been working on. We have a very, very big update, probably the biggest home update that there is that we have a new member of the house. Her name is Winnie. She's the cat that y'all saw in my last, or like second to last? Yeah, in my last video. So we're not gonna talk about her too much in this video, but in my next video, I'll include her more and we can talk about Winnie. We decided to name her Winnie. Kittens are actually so crazy. I thought Theo was a crazy puppy, but she is like insane. So the first area I want to work on is the kitchen. Today we are adding a shelf because I've been wanting to add something else in the kitchen, but I don't want to take up counter space. And I realized that, oh, we can just add a shelf. And I also want to add like a vining plant or like some type of ivy, like a small ivy maybe, or some type of cissus, and have it like spread out this way just to add some dimension and depth. So I got this wood cut to size for the wall, and then I got these brackets, but I kind of regret getting them because they're just not very good quality. They're very cheap. I was thinking like it doesn't matter just because I just need hardware, but I don't know. I wish I got cast iron or something instead, but we're just gonna use these. The shelf is going here, so we have to remove this piece of artwork that we put up in a previous home updates. I still really like it, so we're gonna just move it somewhere. But yeah, so sorry, you gotta go. Let's remove the knives so I don't poke myself on accident. We are ready to put these up. We need to like measure it, figure out where to put it, level it and everything. And I need some help from Chris. So Chris is making a quick appearance. Hey there, Chris. Okay, so could you just hold it for me? Oh wow, it's pretty good. Okay. Look, we got 2 visitors. Here's Theo. Y'all know Theo, of course. And then here is Winnie behind Chris's feet. Hello, Winnie. Now the shelf's up. I really like it. It's just simple, you know, but I think it works. Now let's add a plant to the shelf. So this is a heterohelix needlepoint. It has smaller leaves, so it's the needlepoint variety. And lately I've just been into kind of more basic plants. I'm not sure why, maybe it's because I've been gardening, but yeah, I feel like this fits the style of the house really well and also fits the kitchen. So maybe it needs to be trimmed back a little bit. It's a bit too long possibly, but I'm going to use a pot cover for this plant. I feel like pot covers are not used very often, but it's really a great solution for when you want to make your plant look nicer but you don't want to repot it, or if you want to have a lightweight solution so you don't have to repot it into a ceramic pot. So yeah, this is a pot cover from Puebco, and you just need to find a saucer that fits your pot. Put the saucer inside, and then you put the plant inside. Look at how nice and easy that is. Let's see how this looks. I feel like the vines might be a bit too long. Okay, maybe we turn it to the side a little bit too long, so it would be annoying like when we're cutting or cooking over here. I might end up trimming them back or pinning them back. We always have like garlic and ginger and onions in a bowl, and it takes up counter space, and now we can put it on the shelf. Look at that. And it also keeps it out of the sun. That way they don't like sprout and stuff, because we always have issues with our garlic and potatoes and stuff sprouting because it's on the countertop where it receives sunlight. Paige came to shoot some of her products at the house, and I also got some complimentary products. So this is this cute little apron that I have hanging from the fridge. I got this tea towel that I'm now hanging from the pegboard. It's cute, right? It's reversible. It's nice to have these kinds of things in the kitchen because it adds some fabric, but it also is like very practical because, you know, you use these things in the kitchen. So yeah, now I have some fabric and some pattern, and yeah, I really like how they look. Paige always comes out with very nice things. This past month, Chris and I have integrated Factor into our weekly meal plan, and it's helped us save so much time and reduces the mental load of the never-ending question, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? Factor is a service that sends meals to your doorstep. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. There's a weekly menu with multiple options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Chris and I mostly use Factor for dinner, so on nights where we eat Factor, it's much more relaxed and we're able to enjoy the night more because we don't have to use the energy to get groceries, prep, cook, and then clean. And some other highlights from past meals are the cheddar jalapeno chicken, the mushroom tomato pasta, and chicken piccata. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code BenjiPlant50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code BenjiPlant50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. So in the dining room, really nothing has changed very much. I got this shallow vase from Jahal. One of his friends made it and he gave it to me, and I've just been using this to create little arrangements from these wildflowers that are growing outside in the garden. So I just snip those every once in a while, refresh this, and it adds something to the table, because before it was just like totally plain and I was like, it needs something. I think I'm gonna move this white pedestal somewhere else because I don't really like it in the dining room. It feels like weirdly sort of formal. Thinking of putting 2 picture frames here or getting a plant here. I'm not sure which one I want to do. It's really nice for pictures, but I don't like it as a decor element. It feels too set up. And also because it's so boxy, it adds to that feeling that I get here where everything is so like structured. And then this lamp here, I just got it recently. I went to this market where they had like different vendors and stuff. Simple, but I like the colors and the striping, and it would go with the red chairs and add a little bit of pattern to the dining room. And then I have a diptyque candle that I got from like a PR set from them, because I would honestly, I don't think I'd ever buy diptyque candles. I love them, they smell so good, but like they're so expensive. Oh, also look at what Chris got me for my birthday. It's a little tiny chihuahua. It looks just like Theo. Look at its eyes. Oh my gosh. So he's just here for now because I don't know what else to do with him because he is so tiny. So there are a few changes here in the living room, and my biggest question to you is, what do you think of the yellow planter right here in the corner? It's very large, it's very bright. I like the color. I just don't know how I feel about it in the living room. Like, is it too bright compared to all the other colors? Because I feel like the living room is pretty colorful for the most part, but everything is like sort of dull. It's not too vibrant, you know, it's sort of a faded color or a darker color, and this yellow is just so bright. So what do you think? Should I keep the yellow or change it out to the same kind of pot, but just in white? That's what I'm deciding. I like the yellow because I think it's fun and it's something different. But whenever I take photos of the space, I'm like, wow, that is very, very yellow. On the coffee table, I added some coffee table books. I really like this guy's account on Instagram, Sean Pritchard, yeah. I don't know how he does it. I think it's so impressive, but his style is like so messy, but somehow it doesn't look bad. Like, when you're able to have clutter that looks good, I think that's just like so impressive. Because what is it that makes the clutter look good as opposed to just being a mess? There's so much going on in this photo. Like, look at all these frames. They're not even aligned correctly. And then there's so many books on the table, and there's just so many things, but it all works together. I also have some magazines on the table. I really love this magazine. It's called Brutus, and it's a Japanese magazine. And they have such good like inspiration in here. I can't read Japanese, and I can't find any like translated versions of these, but I love these magazines. There's just so much good style inspo in here. Sometimes when I just want to feel a little bit inspired, I go through the magazines because there's always something that I didn't look at close enough or something that I forgot about. And I really like getting inspiration from physical media rather than on like Pinterest or Instagram. Like I still obviously do those things and I like those things, but I feel like when you're viewing it as physical media, you focus and you stay on the image longer and you think about it longer rather than just scrolling through Pinterest or Instagram. At the same market where I got this striped lamp, I also got this painting of a horse. I believe it's watercolor. Only $35 or $40. And it's so nice. She even said it's an original. I have been inspired by Sean Pritchard, whose book I just showed you. And he puts a lot of frames on his bookshelves, and it adds that dimension and layering to it. At first, I thought that it looked kind of silly to put picture frames on your bookshelves because you're blocking your books and it's like not super practical and it makes the books less accessible. But realistically, you're not like grabbing books off of the bookshelf all the time. You know, I mean, if you're reading a book, you're gonna have it out. Like I have the book I'm reading right now down here, so it's just easy to grab. I'm reading The Invention of Moral. So I think it looks really good actually to put the picture frames on the bookshelves. And it's not even that cumbersome. I mean, you can just take the picture frame off and then get the book that you want and then put it back. That's what I was doing with this. And I was fully inspired by Sean Pritchard. So over here in this area behind me on the shelves, I've just been, I don't know, I'm always rearranging that area. I moved some plants around. I also had to move some plants up on the shelves away from Winnie because she doesn't really like mess with plants themselves, but she likes to sort of knock things over and she likes to mess with soil. So she doesn't mess with the plant, but she likes to sleep in dirt and also like dig in it a little bit. So she also likes grasses, so I moved any of like the grassy plants up on the shelf. Everything here under these grow lights are growing really well. Like all of my kokedamas look amazing. And I just started this new one with a different kind of moss. So I used a white star grass and some aquarium plants in this kokedama arrangement, and I used a different kind of moss than I typically would use for a kokedama. This is the Cobrium glaucum. I need to water it actually, but it's taking pretty well. This is the moss that I use for all of my top dressings, and it's available on my website if you want to buy it. I had someone recently ask for an update on the native garden, and honestly, there's not much that's like changing. Everything's growing, but there isn't really much else to say. All the grasses are growing, some of them are spreading. The hummingbird sage is spreading like crazy and filling in the entire area. The ferns are growing really well now, and there are some big ones around me too, like the one that's behind me. It's looking really nice. So in front of this fern, this columbine grew, and I totally forgot about this plant, but Chris and I, we planted it when we first moved into this house, and it survived everything, and little leaves started sprouting out, and now it's this nice big bush. I should have probably moved it sooner because it's covering up the fern. The flowers on this are so cool. These ferns are getting huge, these woodwardias. They're called giant chain ferns, and I'm hoping that they get even bigger. But yeah, I love ferns right now. My tree fern's also growing pretty well. I've been really keeping up with watering. So in the morning I water the trunk, and then there's also a drip irrigation system, so it's been doing really well and it's putting out 2 new leaves. I love that thing. I'm so happy I added it to the garden. So this area near the entrance of the house, this is like my main potted plant area, and it's also the area that I'm focusing on right now for my garden. I've been into sort of basic looking plants lately. This is a wild bergamot. I think they also call it bee balm. And so I just love like herb, regular looking plants in a nice aged terracotta pot. So there's this thrift store that I go to, and it has a bunch of these like aged terracotta pots with some moss and algae and stuff like that on them, and they're pretty affordable in my opinion. They're like $8, $10 each, and this is so cool because I don't know, you can't like get aged pots like this easily. You have to find them. Here is my Dermara peltata. I saw a picture on Pinterest and I thought this plant was just so beautiful, so I got it as a little tuber, and now it's growing into this. It's still quite small because they can grow really large, but yeah, I'm kind of regretting putting it in this pot because it is a little bit small, but it's growing steadily. So maybe when it dies back for the winter, I'll pot it and put it in something a little bit bigger. And then over here, I have this hosta. Yeah, I've been into like English cottage style gardens, and I see some hostas in shaded areas. And this area, it typically gets a lot of shade. Like there's not that much sun that gets here because of the trees. So I'm focusing on more like shady plants or shade tolerant plants for this area. So I've been working a ton on this area. I moved a bunch of rocks and I used them in the landscaping. I took out all of these plants that were here before. They were just like random aloes and stuff that were growing super leggy because there isn't that much light here. And I added compost, I worked the soil, I potted these tree ferns. For my birthday, we went to a nursery and I found those tree ferns. I love tree ferns. I've been doing a lot of gardening out here and it's really fun. I just like play an audiobook or I listen to a podcast or a really long YouTube video, and then I just garden, and it's been so therapeutic for me and so fun. And it reminds me of the time when like I first got into houseplants, because it's all just like very new and exciting and it feels so rewarding to see your plants grow. And that is how I'm feeling currently with gardening. Yeah, let me show you some of the plants, and then we're also going to do a little bit of gardening because I just went to the nursery the other day and I got a few more small plants to fill in. So like I was saying earlier, I've kind of been getting into hostas. I don't know why, I just think that they're very beautiful and they remind me of like houseplants. It almost looks like a philodendron white knight. Even Chris said so too. He was like, that looks like a houseplant. I just planted this maybe 2 days ago. And it's doing very well, transitioning very well, and I'm planning to add a bunch more of the same variety in here. I think I may remove these plants right there. These are agapanthus, and then this is a tree fern, a silver, like a mini silver lady tree fern, also called Blechnum gibbum. So since this is very shaded and because the leaves of the tree fern create shade underneath them as well, I've planted some moss here, Leucobrium glaucum, and it's been, how long has it been? Maybe like a week, and it's actually growing. There are some mosses that kind of bleached and died off, and I think it's because that's where areas are where the sun is actually peeking through and getting to it. So I created this terrain with these rocks that I have, and this rock is actually really cool because it has some moss growing on it. And then I had this tree fern that was in a pot that is the same kind of tree fern as this one, so I grouped them together. Something that I've been learning from gardening channels, which I've been watching like Middle-Sized Garden and the Horticulturalists. I've been watching those two channels and learning that you need to plant in groups of the same plant. Before, for gardening, I feel like I would only plant like 1 or 2 and I wouldn't think to get a bunch of them. So yeah, that is something I'm learning. It feels like I'm doing aquascaping, which is when you create like a scape in an aquarium. I feel like I'm doing aquascaping but on a larger scale and outside. So that's been kind of fun, and it's also been fun to see how the knowledge kind of like transitions to a different medium. Similar medium but different, you know. This area actually ends up getting some sun because of the way the tree above it grows. So I planted some Irish moss, which is not actually a real moss. I'm hoping that it spreads and sort of looks like a little lawn. I've had some mondo grass planted here for like a year and it hasn't really taken off, but it hasn't died. I guess it's just been steadily growing. I'm debating whether or not I want to take it out. I am not sure. I recently picked up this geranium called Cranesbill geranium, which is a ground cover geranium. And it also produces these little flowers. So I'm thinking of replacing the mondo grass with the geranium. It's been really fun though to play with like different textures and different shapes and stuff and how they all interact with each other. Yeah, I've been really liking gardening. if you can't tell, I've been very excited about it. I've been showing Chris, and I'm like, Chris, look what I did, look what my plans are. So I have a lot of plans for areas in the garden. This is like my first season where I feel like I'm actually doing any gardening. I've also planted some hydrangeas back here. This big one right here isn't planted yet, but this one on the side is. I think I'm gonna plant this one right now. So I'm gonna remove some of these grasses, the mondo grass, and then plant the cranesbill geranium. I like this asparagus fern, but I'm gonna move it because I think something else would be better here. I finished digging the hole for the hydrangea. I'm so sweaty because it's like 90 something degrees, and if I don't wear like long pants and a long shirt, then I get bit by mosquitoes super bad, so I have to wear this. Now to plant the hydrangea. Whenever I get plants out of nursery pots like this, I feel like I'm giving CPR. Oh my gosh, so sweaty. So when I bought these, I checked for the pots that had multiple plants in it, because normally when you buy plants from nurseries, they have multiple plants in one pot to make them look fuller. But that's really good for me because now I get like 4 or 5 plants in a single pot. I have 4 of these, so I'm gonna plant 3 in front as like a triangle and then 1 in the back, and hopefully these spread out. Chris and I were watching this reality TV show right now, and we typically don't watch reality TV shows other than Drag Race, but this new show, Alyssa Edwards is on it, and she's a drag queen that Chris and I love. We just think that she's so funny, and this show is crazy. Like, it was kind of slow at first, but it gets intense. We're on episode 4 right now, and the show is called The Goat. Kind of a silly name, but honestly it's so entertaining. And typically I don't like reality TV, but this one is just honestly really funny. The premise is that there's just a bunch of reality TV stars from different reality shows, like from The Bachelor or like Vanderpump Rules. I don't really know these. It's very fun if you want something kind of dumb to watch. So I'm using these little rocks as islands while I do my plantings. I'm gonna clean up my mess tomorrow when I'm done filming, but for now let's head upstairs to the balcony. Ooh, the sweat's getting my eyeball. So it's actually the next day now. You might be able to tell because I have a haircut. I'm also wearing different clothes, but I wanted to wait a day because I just got this. This is straw mulch. My plants up on the balcony haven't been doing that well, and well, my dad came and he was like, oh, you need to add nitrogen to everything. Like, you need to fertilize everything because yeah, everything was just looking really pale, and I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. I thought that, you know, the soil would have enough nutrients in it, but I guess not. So yeah, I'm starting to fertilize everything, and I mean, it's only been like 24 hours, but I feel like I can see a difference in some of the plants already. Like, they already just look a lot more green than before and like not as washed out. The balcony plants get full sun pretty much all day, and the soil temperature gets really hot and it dries out very quickly. So I'm going to add straw mulch on the top of all of, pretty much all of the plants. I saw people using straw mulch on Epic Gardening. If you know that YouTube channel, they use straw mulch for a lot of their raised beds, I believe. And yeah, I want to do it too. I also think it kind of looks nice. We'll see. I'm gonna be honest, it's been a while since I last recorded a home updates, so I don't remember what y'all last saw on the balcony. Like, I don't know if I've shown this to you yet, so I'm just gonna show some of the plants to you, and if you've seen them before, here's an update. So I wanted to add some vining plants to the balcony because I feel like that's what's missing from it to make it look grown in and aged. I want some vining plants, like pretty much going all around the trellises, climbing up, crawling. So this is an island morning glory. It's a California native morning glory. Mulching is good for a bunch of different reasons. It will protect the soil from fluctuating in temperature too much, and it'll also retain more moisture and water, so there's less evaporation from the soil when the sun hits it. Because yeah, this stuff up here, it gets really hot because there's no trees or anything blocking the sun, so this area pretty much gets full sun all day until the evening. And then here are the green onions, and we've been harvesting them like pretty much every time we cook. We use green onions because a lot of Asian dishes use green onions. So these have been trimmed and used so much. This might be like one of the most useful things that we've planted out here so far. And then these two plants here are shiso plants that my dad brought me from his garden. I've been growing these actually for about like 4 weeks now, and I had to cut all the leaves off because he had a lot of spider mites on them. So I just completely like reset the plant. In this bed, we are growing native California strawberries. They're really tiny strawberries that look more like raspberries than normal strawberries that you're used to. But I heard that they taste really good, so I'm excited to finally eat one of these berries. It's sending out a bunch of runners. They're actually rooting into the soil, which is why I'm not sure, am I supposed to mulch these or not? Like if I put mulch on top of the soil, will it make it so the runners can't root into the soil? So let me know if you have any experience. I tried to look it up and I honestly couldn't find that much information on it. Look at this little guy. I hope it's good. And then this is my water spinach. I had it planted before, but I actually took everything out and then added compost to the soil and then replanted the seeds because nothing here was really growing at all. I think the soil that I got from the people I purchased these raised beds from, I think the soil was like really, really bad or something because nothing would grow in the soil that I got from them. And maybe it's because there is no nitrogen in their soil. So I re-added a ton of compost, and that still honestly wasn't really cutting it for these guys. And my dad, when he was here, he was like, you need to add nitrogen. So these are the plants where I feel like I noticed a big difference already. Like they were super kind of just like yellow pale, and then when I fertilized them last night, I came out the next morning and I was like, wow, they look so much more vibrant. That's pretty much it for my home updates, but I have a question. So I'm going to film my houseplant tour video somewhat soon, but I also want to film a garden tour video. So should I combine those two or keep them separate? Because I know that not all houseplant people would be into gardening and vice versa. So I'm kind of not sure what I want to do. Like one mega video or two also long videos. Let me know what you think. Yeah, so later today, Chris and I and a few friends, we're gonna go see Inside Out 2. And I'm very, very excited. I loved Inside Out 1 when it came out back in 2014. I don't remember what happened, honestly, so I need a refresher, but I loved that movie when it came out. And I can't believe I was 14 when that came out. Wow, time flies. Okay, well, thank you for watching this video. I think this is gonna be a pretty long one. Yeah. But yeah, I hope you have a great day, great week, and I'll see you in the next video. We're gonna be talking about the cat Winnie in the video. I'm very excited for that. Okay, goodbye.